Hi everybody, it's me, Miss Jessica Lahore, and we're back with part 2 of our Jess Talk all about the Ask a Queen tour. But before we get into part 2, you know what you gotta do. Subscribe to my channel, the bells for notifications, and baby, let's talk part 2 of the tour.
Attention Lahore, attention Lahore, attention Lahore, attention. Here I am walking down the street, seeing all the boys trying to take a peek. Shorts pulled up and chest out right. Come on, boys, just take a bite. Look but don't touch, spin it round and round. Crazy.
All right, everybody, part 2. We just finished off in Chicago, Illinois, and then what happened is that night we flew back to Denver because Jessica was crazy and decided to do 2 brunch shows, and then that afternoon I officiated a wedding. But not only that, it was a wedding in the drive-thru of Dutch Bros. That story is for another Jess Talk. It was so much fun that entire day, but I stayed in drag all that afternoon. We got out of drag, and I flew with Oscar that evening to Los Angeles. So what was nice about this is that we got in the night before and we got to kind of decompress a little bit and kind of chill and settle in and get a little bit of rest before the next morning. But the next morning I had brunch at Hamburger Mary's and we did 3 shows back to back to back. A lot of fun. Hamburger Mary's in West Hollywood is one of my favorites to work at. All of the entertainers are so kind to me. Jules is incredible and the crowds always turn it out. That afternoon, we ended up staying in drag, doing some touch-ups, and walking down to the Hollywood Boulevard area. Very popular touristy area. And I went in this white outfit, kind of sexy, kind of concealed vibe kind of look. There's a really funny TikTok that we made because I was just walking around with my ass hanging out and my makeup shirt on and looked a little bit crazy for a minute. Ask a Queen was a lot tougher than I anticipated. There's a lot that I learned from each of these stops. And for this one, this particular area, Hollywood Boulevard, is very not only tourist heavy, but it's also very side street entertainer heavy. Tons of people, tons of characters are on the sides of the streets trying to almost coerce people to pay them money so that they can have interactions. And so what I found is even though I was trying to give people money, getting people to even acknowledge me or have a conversation with me, because these other folks, like once you talk to them, you're almost locked in and there's almost like a pressure to pay. It was really difficult at first finding people. I was like, hey, I'm not selling you anything. I actually want to give you money. Like that's how I had to start so that I could interact with folks. I found a couple of people that were employed at some of the shops, so they were cornered into asking me questions. We walked and did a couple of loops 3 or 4 times. We ended up getting questions of all the people that we interacted with. There's this really, really nice girl in Shrek PJs that we had a whole conversation about vapes, if I remember correctly. Really good time. We hit our mark on the questions. We felt accomplished for the day and called it a night for that evening. That was stop 10 was Los Angeles. We kind of got a little bit of rest time that evening, which was really nice. We got to hang out and get dinner and just refresh as we had an early flight the next morning. I got up super early for stop number 11, which was New Orleans, Bourbon Street. I did my makeup in West Hollywood in Los Angeles, and then we flew to New Orleans. We got all settled into the hotel and made our way over. The first stop, this was similar to like Nashville, we went straight to the venue, Felix's, to do diners, drive-ins, and drag. That was a really anxious morning for some reason. I remember just needing a second to get myself together, and I was like, yes, we're coming. We're a little bit late, but we're on the way. But once we got there, there's something that I call the spirit of New Orleans, and New Orleans is a place that I immediately said I would spend at least a year living in if I could, comfortably. The people in New Orleans generally have this essence of respect and kindness and hospitality that I personally haven't experienced anywhere else. Everybody is willing to smile and say hi and help you out here, and people don't feel inconvenienced or they don't express it that way. There's a lot of that love that I noticed compared to other places. So when we get to the restaurant, everyone's really accommodating. I got to meet the show director, Vanessa Carr. I got to meet management and shuck oysters. Everybody employed there was just making sure that this was the coolest experience ever. The food was phenomenal, which we haven't had a diners, drive-ins, and drag where any of the food has been really gross or I've had to lie on camera or anything like that. But everything has been top-notch. This was no exception. What I hate about the diners, drive-ins, and drag is that I only sample each one and then we put it in a box for later. So it's like just teasing my palate, and this was one of those. Everything tasted so delicious, but we put it away. We took the time to film that. My outfit was very unexpected. Usually I plan a little bit better, and this was my last diners, drive-ins, and drags, so there were elements that were missing, and I looked like an Olive Garden employee. I remember that specifically. But after, we did Ask a Queen, and this had to be my favorite Ask a Queen. If we were to do an Ask a Queen tour again, which may or may not be happening, I would go to New Orleans and I would do Bourbon Street again. It was the easiest and the most like people were excited to see it. I was thinking it was going to be the same energy as Hollywood Boulevard because it's so touristy, and the idea of like freedom and drinking on the street and people just having a good time, it was very evident. I had a group of people watching me do Ask a Queens. I had fans that had moved from Denver to New Orleans come and see me and ask me a question and just hang out. It was probably one of my favorites of the Ask a Queens that we did on any of the stops. I felt like we could have stayed there for another hour and gotten hundreds of questions easily. There were that many people, that much interest. People were willing to take risks like they would in New Orleans. Like, ooh, I'm in a different place and this is a fun place. Like, let's try something new. This is a drag queen. That's kind of how the vibe was. The best part is that we finished that up. My friend Matt set up a tour to do some voodoo hoodoo tour of a little shop with different emulants and powders and candles and waxes, and everything has different meanings and spears and spells and different connective spiritual things as well. I'm very interested in that kind of stuff. So although we didn't really film this as like a Jessica Tries, because I've done this before, we took a lot of behind the scene footage and just asked a ton of questions. The energy in that space was really calm for having so many different pathways. Like every section had a different purpose for what you could need, from love to focus to money to whatever you wanted to put into existence. And I truly believe and manifest that for sure. I got to play around there, which was wonderful, and then we got out of drag, showered, we went and got some food, we went and drank, we got some food later, tried to karaoke, oh yes, Debbie with a D was really fabulous. We went to the Oz and a couple other queer spots. We went to the oldest queer spot in existence in New Orleans or in the country or something like that. It's a very, very old queer spot. Went and did karaoke. I sang Little Mermaid, got to connect with Debbie with a D. We tried to fly out. We drove to the airport, and this is when we blew a tire. I barely, I'm so serious, barely nudged a curb and it went and we got far enough to get to a Firestone, and this is where the spirit of Nola really kicked in. This wonderful woman took the time and the energy to stop what she was doing to help us in our immediate problem and get us on our way to the airport. And the people at the airport, there was no issue. They said, thank you for telling us. This is covered. You're all good to go. The spirit of Nola was live. But you know when it changed? I remember it specifically now. We flew from New Orleans to Las Vegas. That's right. Stop number 12. And I remembered the spirit of being a cunt when I went to Las Vegas. The security to Las Vegas was the worst I think me and Oscar both experienced, correct? Oscar had issues for the first time showing different identification and was being told wrong information the first time of this is like, we're like 13 stops in, bitch. We know how to travel appropriately. So yeah, 26 times we have been in this airport, and that's why I was so frustrated. I got scanned twice. I got full pat down twice. They went through each compartment of my makeup. I started getting very irritated, and I have to remind myself that at the airport, very quickly will they not give a fuck, as I should have learned when I went through this probation and officer issues earlier in the year. However, I made a comment, I think Oscar did too, about, oh, maybe you've never seen makeup before. Clearly, you've never seen makeup before. And I said, put everything back exactly where it was. The problem that I had is not that they had to scan it, but this woman was being like relentless to find something. And I get that it's their job and I get that it's safety, but it got to a point where I felt she was just purposely inconveniencing me to be pat down twice, to go through everything. And mind you, we've had no issue, no stopping, no bag to the side, no pat down, nothing this entire time. Yeah, they tested it. And then she was like, do you want me to throw this away or do you want us to keep it? And I said, I'm going to keep it. I want you to put it back in my bag. You didn't give, like, why would you take this? This is ridiculous. It's for this much powder at the bottom of a bucket. I was so the spirit of cunt wisped into my soul, and the spirit of Nola stayed in New Orleans. Las Vegas was I think this was a push trip. Every so often during this tour, when we were going back to back to back, by the third, fourth, sometimes fifth stop, you could tell when we were like running on empty, but we're here. This is what we have to do. Like this is why we came here. It's just sucks to be tired. And this was one of them for sure. I remember we got into drag. We tried to rest a little bit. It took us forever to check in. We were both exhausted. I ended up going to the show, but I learned that when I'm not taking care of myself, I get panicky and I overheat, and I'm already a hot person. So very similar to Chicago, but I was able to combat it because I had a personal fan in that room, was that my makeup wasn't sticking to my forehead. My wig wasn't sticking to my face. I was like in a crowded little room, feeling very claustrophobic, feeling very hot, feeling not ready to go on. And I said, you're not going to have a repeat of Chicago. Your friend Scarlett Business, who is a badass performer, is out there and she's going to watch you and you're going to have fun. And that's what I did. I had a great time. The show with the girls was really wonderful. It was quick as fuck, which we appreciate. And then we went back to the room. I think we got a little bit of food. We went back up, we rested, and I made a stupid decision to stay up all night and gamble. I didn't lose money, but I didn't gain money. I think I was out like maybe $20. I had a great time and then got an hour of sleep, and we flew to Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City was probably the most surprising of my stops. I thought that I was not going to enjoy my time in Salt Lake City, and it was pretty memorable. It was really exciting. The place that we stayed at was really nice this particular time. Not that the other ones weren't, but the way it was set up made it comfortable for everyone to kind of just chill and have some space and get ready. We went to a coffee shop first. Our friend Kat, who was connected with us, let us into her office, and we got specialty coffees and donuts. So we got to like settle into Salt Lake City, which was nice. Later that afternoon, I got to get into drag, and we were going to go to the Mormon temple, but everyone kept saying, or our friend Kat was saying, that there's construction, so we actually didn't make it to the Mormon temple. We went to the Capitol instead, and this was probably the most prepared others were. I could have been more prepared. I was really taken off guard. Kat was phenomenal at organizing a group of 10 really powerful, really influential, really meaningful queer and allied individuals, from the university to the governor that I missed because I didn't know she was coming. We missed her by like 45 minutes to an hour because I was tired. We pushed back, and we haven't had any problems doing that, but she didn't tell us, and then we missed the governor. I did say governor. She is the mayor. So I got to meet an amazing group of people. A lot of these Ask a Queens haven't come out yet, but they will. They're all great, intentional, really focused questions. So Levon Wells, go follow her, award-winning global speaker. I never say that I'm a person that understands spirits or like mediumship. I'm not that person, but energy is something I feel like I really lock into. Levon had very grip holding energy that was unlike any other. And she made a comment, and she was like, or her question was, what is the, if my daughter were alive, my daughter passed away, what would you say to her right now? Or what would she say if she was here with us? That's what the question was. If my daughter was here with us right now, what would she say? And I was like, something about like, your mom, God, I want to remember it. I feel like I'm blanking on it now. I'm talking about it being the best question ever. Maybe I'm thinking more of the best interaction. Regardless, she asked me about her passed away daughter, what her daughter would say, and she made this a mission to talk about her daughter, her experience, about spreading love, about spreading positivity, about spreading joy. She gave she's a love activist. She has a little booklet, tiny little booklets that I have, not in this purse, in my other purse, that you open it up to a random page and it says a message or a word, and it's supposed to intentionally guide you. Like, that's the reason that you're getting that word for today, because that's what you needed to hear. Levon and me randomly will message on Instagram. Really lovely human, and highly recommend. So these questions I'm really excited for folks to see. We ended up doing a photo shoot with Kat. It was so epic. Dressed as Moira Rose, replicated Pope outfit, full on in the Capitol building in Salt Lake City. That's pretty iconic shit. I mean, would it have been really cool if I was at the Mormon temple? 100%. But very iconic to be able to say that I got to do something like that. We never had any issues. I did get asked this just on the side if anybody was rude or disrespectful or homophobic. No, I feel like we didn't really get a lot of that anywhere. Later that evening, we actually got to we went to the show, and the show was incredible. Suntrap has been going through some recent changes with unionizing, and they're officially unionized. They officially are a unionized business now, which is incredible. I think you're going to see more of that as performers and artists and industry staff are standing up for themselves. I think Suntrap was an amazing experience. The crowd turned out. It was packed. The cast was fire. Everybody loved everything. Good energy, good vibes. I wanted to stay longer. I was really sad that we had to leave that night or that next morning really early. I really wanted to stay longer. Met some really cool people, connected, made some great connections, and it's a trip that I want to make back again. Probably it was the win of a show experience that I needed post Chicago. Like, I definitely won with the Hamburger Mary's people, but this was a win to perform and feel that vibe and that energy. Really, really great. Really fun random story. There's a boba or soda shop that's famous in Salt Lake, Swig. So we went to Swig, and the drive-thru was only open, and there's this group of like freshmen and college students who needed a ride. They took a train all the way down to this soda shop, and then they went through the drive-thru on foot, and they couldn't. So they asked us while I'm in makeup and we're all in the car, like, can we like hop in your trunk so we can order drinks? And of course we let them in. And then we started talking. They were very nice. They followed me, but we had some connection. We knew somebody. So somebody that followed me recognized the friend in the photo. So it was just a small world. They were really chill. It was a really cool experience. Nothing bad, but just random, very random to happen in Salt Lake. Anyway, we flew. That was stop 12. Great time. We went to Phoenix next for stop 14. Phoenix was wonderful. I haven't been there in a minute. I really enjoyed the time that I got to spend in Phoenix, mainly because I got to see my aunt, and Oscar actually got to meet some of my extended family too. So my aunt, my cousin, some of my extended cousins that I haven't seen in a long time. Really cool eating and drag with all my extended cousins and them not like batting an eye. It just like shows the progressiveness of my cousin and then their mom. Like, how do we treat people even if they look weird or different? And like, how do we say like this person's family, they're okay and not. It was really cool. I had not seen them in years. So to introduce somebody in my professional life and in my personal life here to extended family, because very few people get to meet any of my actual family members. It was really awesome. it was really cool. She's really welcoming. She was so sweet and accommodating. I guess another regret or wish is that I should have been more proactive of bringing her to the show. I still think about that. I didn't put her first in the ways that I should have and didn't do the work. Anyway, she's really supportive all my life. She's been amazing. And the show was Battle of the Bands. So anything that was group band oriented, and they sprung this theme while I'm traveling. Like, this is not like the week of, they're like, oh, guess what? We're going to do Battle of the Bands. I'm like, oh, I already planned what I was bringing, but now we have to do this over. And so we made it work. I think what I did was a little bit off of what they're used to, especially for my second number. Not that they didn't enjoy the comedy or the different pieces, but everyone is very snatched and bodied and tittied and it's beautiful. The cast is just stunning. Gia, Joey J, they're all incredible. And then I come out in a fucking bushy merkin and my hole out. And they loved it and also shook it up a bit. It was really cool. That show outside of Minnesota was probably the most attended fan show. I had a lot of drag members and a lot of fans that came to that show and he showed me love, asked questions, took photos. The Ask a Queen went really, really well, but it was hot. Arizona's hot, and you can see it all over my face, the glisten of oils that have progressed throughout the day in Arizona. It was a very sweaty day for sure. Show was wonderful. I think that we parted ways. No, we didn't. We came back to Denver.
Yeah, but that was the last time that I was with you.
But that was the last time you were with me. So this is Oscar's like, hurrah. He is done. He's like feeling the finish line. I, however, have a day of shows in Denver that morning. We fly back that morning. I do brunches and shows. And then that evening, I do an overnight flight. I don't know why I'm talking to you. An overnight flight to DC. And this is very important to tell you, I almost decided to not do most of my face before flying to DC. I said, I'm going to have time in the morning. Like, I'm going to check in. I'm going to have like 2-3 hours to like do certain things. I'm so glad I did my entire face but lashes. I wish I would have done lashes, but lashes. Because United lost my motherfucking bags. And I knew in my soul, you don't have to believe me, people of the internet. I am so happy to get to talk about this. In Denver, flying United first class. Thank you very much, because it was cheaper. It's weird, but it was cheaper. I see her put the tags, and she moves the bags to the side, not directly on the belt. And I was watching it. I was walking away. In my head, I said, it's going to be okay. Like, she's going to put them on. Watch your people put the bag on the dooha, on the little thing. Because, no, they never left Denver. They never got on the plane in Denver. So when I landed at 8:40 in the morning, and my brunch is at 11:30 in the morning, and I have no costumes. I have my pads. I have no wigs, because my checklist that I follow every time with what I bring my carry-on. When you bring your carry-on, you put your money in your carry-on. You put your pads in your carry-on. You put one shake and go wig, something like that, in your carry-on. All right. And maybe shoes if you're like an obscene size, like you could not go to a mall, because you can, and your makeup. Those are my keys. And I did not put the wig in there. So I get there, no bags. I'm freaking out. I got a speeding ticket for driving crazy. Yeah, it came later in the mail, and it's just me like angry as fuck without lashes but makeup on in the rental car as I'm speeding through DC. And at this time, I'm also freaking out that I'm going to see like National Guard, or there's going to be a lot of police because of everything that's happening in the media. And it wasn't happening where I was located, but it was happening in other areas. So I'm running around. It's also Sunday. What the fuck is open on a Sunday? So I'm messaging the girls and the cast. I'm messaging people that I know in town. Hey, can you bring anything? The girls are different sizes. Plus, I know it's so weird, like lending drag out. We've all been there, but Everyone came through. So I'm going to place. I go to CVS. I get all my drag essentials. I just get duct tape, hairspray, pins, and a brush. I'm like, I need this, and pussy spray. Get that. I go across the street, and there's a mall. And I'm like, okay, something's got to be open. Nothing's open until 11. And I go, and I'm like, I go to this one store that looks like if you were to take a country girl in her teens, like Buckle and Claire's and Taylor Swift's merch booth, and shove them together. That is this store. It's on the 3rd floor. It's all shiny. Everything's sparkling. I'm like, okay, this has got to work. And I'm banging on the door because I see somebody in there. And I look terrifying. Mind you, the way that I look is not appealing to trust me. And I'm like, hey. She's like talking through the little crack in there. She's like, can I help you? I'm like, okay, I know this is weird, but I have a show in an hour and I have no drag because this. Can I please come in early? I know you don't open 11, but would you let me in early so that I can shop? And she had to call her manager and they say yes. So I'm like, thank gosh. I spend $740 at this Claire Taylor Swift Buckle boutique. And I some of it was panic shopping. Some of it was like, you don't have time to think about what numbers you submitted because you can't change your music. Your music is what you got. Like, that's what we're doing. Thankfully, I was doing Taylor Swift that morning. So it was perfect. I had a reveal dress. And the thing is, when the girls in the cast said, you got all this at the mall this morning, and it gooped them, and it was a genuine goop, it made me feel better. So was it pedestrian? Yes. Did it work, and did we make it work? Yes. And that's because I had one of the girls give me a cover-up and a belt. I had another queen bring me some wigs. So people came through. They were understanding of my situation. Everybody was accommodating. Nobody made me feel bad. The show was great. But not only that, after I get all my stuff, I go to drive to the location. I get it all. I finally pay for parking, and I rush in dead. There's not a beat of music happening in this place. And somebody walks up and said, where's the drag show? And they said, oh, that's at the other location. And I said, oh, there's another location. I'm like, oh, this would happen. This would happen, right? This would happen. So I go and I'm in the chat. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I went to the wrong location. And they're like, well, don't go to the wrong one because there's 3. So I went to the right one. I get in. The audience would never know, but it was a rough fucking day. It was a rough fucking day. So that's how that started on Sunday. I have to go back to United afterwards. And when I'm done performing, I kept all the tags on my outfits, excluding some of the things I were not able to return. As I went back to the mall to return most of these shoes and outfits, they were a little wet. And I handed them to her, and she picked it up, and she looked at me. She didn't even raise her chin. She said, this is wet. And I said, no, it's not. Like, it's just cold. And I kid you not, she didn't even move her chin. She's still looking at me. She said, this is wet. And I said, okay. I gave up at that point. She was like, I'm taking back some of this stuff, and I know that you've worn it. However, I'm not going to take back the stuff that is soaking wet. You could wring out the shirt. So that's why I got to keep this jacket. That's why I'm wearing it today, and this little dress. This dress likes to show my titties, so I got to wear it with the jacket because she's not to be trusted. And I got a couple cute little wardrobe pieces. The dress I'm wearing in the other video, part 1, that was from DC. So I was forced to take some cute things home, and I returned what I could. But I learned a lot that morning about what I was able to do on the fly. Nothing else mattered. It was crazy. Finally, after getting to the airport, they get their bags sent to me by 3 p.m., all the show is over, but I have Ask a Queen. I get to check into the hotel. I'm with my friend, Sir Isaac Red, who is riding with me, has become my cameraman at this point, has a show later, and I'm going to go support it. We run in there. I change. I get into my red, white, and blue outfit, and people keep asking. They're like, well, why didn't you get next to the White House, right in front of it? We didn't know how. We knew we could figure it out, but we got to a point, and we were running out of time. That's really what it was. We were running out of time because I promised that he would get done at a certain point to get to his show. But we managed to stay and get 5, 6 questions, some of which you've seen and are really good. They're I want those questions. They're not hard, but they're hard for people to ask. He was very like sexuality, like why do people want to identify this way? Like it was very forward questioning, but it was also better topic of conversation. Like it was like an educational moment. I love those questions. I really do. The hard ones are the best. We end up doing the Ask a Queen. It goes well. We take our photos. I get to de-drag, and I am done. I am done with my tour. Done. D-O-N-E, done. The next stop is Miami, which is just vacation and Gaga disappointment because the bitch didn't show up for me. However, we're past that now. We're healed. We're not bitter. DC closed it out. I went out dancing. I got a meal. I had peach motherfucking cobbler with ice cream. Oh! I supported my friend Sir Isaac. I gardened a little bit. I went out dancing with some of the queens. Some dick. And then I flew to Miami. And I realized that I completed a 1 month, 15 city, 15 Ask a Queen tour for Diners, Drive-Ins, Drag, 2 photo shoots, podcast. We did a lot in that month. So many shows. And now we're here. So what's next? You might be asking. I taught you a lot of the things that I remembered, that I loved, that I didn't love, some of the lessons that I've learned. The next step is to do this tour, but make it more streamlined, feasible, and fun. Focused, feasible, and fun, the 3 F's of this next tour. And those have branches. Like fun means like we're healthy. When I saw Hannah, oh girl. When I put Hannah in that position, that poor bitch she needs to rest. She needs to rest. There were moments that I had where I realized that I'm built differently and me and Oscar are also built differently. With that being said, what city should I come to? You want me in yours? Tag down below and let me know. Bye, everybody. For those of you that have made it to the end of this Just Talk, you might have noticed I'm missing a tooth. Yeah, that's right. I still showed up for work because I'm a professional. But yeah, I just chipped it, so I'm getting it fixed, and I still had to film. Oh boy.
I'm an attention whore. Can't help it, bitch. I'm an attention whore.